Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brewing with Jim.
Thank you for the. That was the introduction.
That was the thing, yeah.
To the podcast. Yes.
Absolutely.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be with you. I'm Jim.
I'm Joseph. I almost said I'm Jim too. That would be a lie. I'm Joseph. I'm the
It's flattering.
question asker, the producer, all that fun stuff. You're Jim.
Right, I am.
You're the one with the
It's my name.
experience.
I don't know that I am Jim, but
Sure.
Jim is my name.
On this show, we get audience questions, and we try to provide wisdom, answers, insight, anything like that.
All that.
Most usually, and today's no exception, they have to do with spiritual topics, spiritual life,
Sometimes,
that kind of thing.
often.
Usually. Today's question is no exception. The question for today: what do I do if my prayers feel scripted?
Okay.
I have been in this headspace before. When I was growing up, I every night pray, go to bed, all that. Pray when I go to bed, and I literally, I don't know how long this lasted, but for a long time, probably at least months and months and months, maybe years, I had verbatim the same prayer. And it's not like one thing that we can talk about, I think, during this episode is with Catholicism. They have
liturgical prayers.
Liturgical prayers that are
It's not just Catholicism.
They are in fact scripted. They don't just feel scripted. They are scripted.
Yeah.
But I had as a kid a prayer that I just came up with one time, and I thought it was good and comprehensive, so I just kind of said it every night.
So it was your creation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was my own liturgy. But anyway, I've been there before, and then I remember reaching an age once where I was like, does God like it if I just am saying and repeating the same thing every night? That kind of thing. So there's a lot that we can do with this, I think. There's a lot of directions we can go. Where would you like to start? Do you want to start by talking about liturgical prayers and anything like that? Or
Well, I don't care where we start. I'll start
Okay.
when you quit talking.
It's fair.
Okay. Are you done?
I'm done, apparently.
We always have to presuppose what the questioner means and what is concerning and why the question is asked in the first place. If a prayer feels scripted, it probably is. And because the words are coming from somewhere, even although you said you created your own prayer, which was repeated over and over, I think the answer to this question comes with, what are you doing? Why are you praying in the first place? And if you can figure out why you're praying, if you're doing it, number one, just number one in my order of thinking here, not in priority, then we're doing it because we're told to do it. As a child, I was told by my parents, and they prayed with me, but I grew up in a liturgical church. I grew up in the Episcopal Church, the Anglican Catholic Church. And we, with the Book of Common Prayer, which is the codex that they use for prayer in that church, there are many prayers, but they're repeated often. And there's morning prayer, there's evening prayer, there's prayer for burial at sea, prayer for everything.
All different occasions.
Occasions. And those prayers I learned after I actually became a Christian, when I gave my life to Christ. And I was in the 5th grade. I found meaning in those prayers that I did not find before. I had memorized many, not on purpose, but simply because they were used so often I could remember them. And I probably about that time quit praying those kinds of prayers. I'm not saying that they're inefficacious. They're not. They can be. It depends on what's in the heart of the person who is praying.
Yeah.
But if it's scripted and it's repeated without thought, and if we're thinking about the beach and fried chicken while we're beseeching the Lord, then it's probably ineffectual and should be, I would say, dismissed and not used anymore. God is Christ. Let me talk about Christ, who is God. He is the magnificent, omnipotent potentate and creator of the universe. He holds the planets in order. He is also my friend who rides in my car with me and helps me find a parking space.
Yeah.
He is both of those roles. And my view of him at any particular moment may fluctuate, alter back and forth between those two roles.
Right.
If I am going to talk to him, and that's what prayer is, it's a communication from man to God. And arguably there is communication from God to man too. But let's just talk about divine goal prayer directions right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I can just chat with him, and often do.
Mm-hmm.
I chat with him during the day. I chat with him, and by chat, I mean I may have one or two sentences that I will think or utter. I would call it prayer because they're directed to him. And that's it.
Yeah.
I do that with my eyes open. I do most of my praying with my eyes open. There are people who say, bow your head and close your eyes, and we're going to pray now. Why is that posture necessary? Well, if you close your eyes, perhaps the distractions from everything around you will go away.
Yeah.
Bowing your head is a sign of honor and submission to God, of course, but it's not necessary. I pray with my eyes open, which is helpful if you're driving.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do not recommend.
No.
We do. Brewing with Jim does not endorse closing your eyes during driving.
Do not. But I often, with people who are sitting with me, just pray with them with my eyes open. I think that when there is a room full of people praying and the pastor is there, I think the eyes of the pastor should be open. Mm-hmm. This is different. People have different behaviors, and I suppose different reasons, most of which I think are just automatic and taught in cultural creations. But I pray with my eyes open because I think it is the responsibility and desire of the pastor to keep his eyes on the sheep and to watch the sheep as they are praying corporately together. But my individual prayers are really not scripted at all. They are desires that are expressed to him, feelings of gratitude and praise to him, and so forth. I can pray during music, the music time of the service. I can pray. I think that's a prayer too, if we are actually keeping in mind what that we're talking to God there.
Right.
So scripted prayers, if you think your prayers are scripted, get rid of them and just begin to have a chat with him. Now, when I recognize him as the Almighty God and creator and sustainer of the universe, that may cause me and some people to fall on their knees and to actually bow down in gratitude, in honoring him, and so forth.
Yeah.
But that posture needs to be created or felt within me so that I would do that as an honor to him. I could be in awe when I think about him and his attributes,
right?
Rather than just memorize definitions of his attributes from his word, I can actually think, wow, he has all thoughts at all times.
Sure.
And he loves me more than any human could comprehend.
Yeah.
And when that kind of thing happens to me, I have had times when I bow down deeply. I don't like to get on my knees much anymore because both of them don't work, and and getting up is not dignified. But that is an awe that we have for God. In biblical terms, it's called numinous awe when we bow so deeply and we're in gratitude to Him. But mostly, He's just my divine buddy.
Yeah.
And I can refer to Him as King Jesus. Yeah. But mostly it's just Jesus, and we talk.
I like that.
So that's unscripted. But give yourself, listeners, a permission to talk to Him as you would talk to a friend.
Yes. And
that will take care of the scripting. Now, liturgical prayers that are repeated over and over and over, I'm not opposed to those.
Right.
Because the articulation of the words that come out of our mouth and or the clarity of the signs that come out of our hands do not in any way dissuade or clarify for God what our heart is doing. He knows already.
That's right. Yeah.
There are people who say, well, why would we even pray? God already knows what we want or what we're thinking or what we pray not for his benefit, but for ours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's a communication between friends. It's a communication between me and my Creator, and it helps clarify me when I say things out loud.
Yes.
Did I say "they"? I didn't mean to.
Okay. No,
when I say things out loud,
no, you're okay.
It adds clarity to me.
It does,
and it makes my thinking more poignant, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
I am opposed to saying the Lord's Prayer 15 times and having to count, okay, I'm on 14.
Sure.
Let me run through it one more time.
Yeah.
I think that's useless.
That's what we used to do in like detention, where it's write this thing, I will not do whatever in class, write that on the board 15 times,
Right, right.
That is,
I think
that's punitive. It feels punitive.
That is punitive if we're required to do that. And oftentimes repeating prayers because we are told to do so is close to being punitive. I can't tell you what's going on in the heart and mind of the person who's telling somebody to do that, but it seems too ritualistic to me. I'm not opposed to ritual. I say it again. I'm not opposed to ritual. I am opposed to a mind that drifts away during ritual.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
to me is not communication.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead.
Key of everything that you've shared, it comes back to the word posture, and I think you even used that term.
Did I? Okay.
And our posture during our prayer is the most essential thing. That may not necessarily, by the way, mean a physical posture. You mentioned getting on your knees, or a lot of people like to pray in various physical ways.
Right.
That is not inherently what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a heart posture.
Yes.
That the heart posture is the most important aspect of going into a prayer, and perhaps during a prayer. Then the scriptedness doesn't necessarily matter as much. What I felt as a kid, when I at the beginning of the episode referred to, I felt like this, for what it's worth, the question we have today, this could have come from 10-year-old Joseph, for all it matters.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Sure.
What I was feeling at that time was that, I'm just saying the same thing every night, and I don't feel like it's doing anything. I don't feel like it's effective. I don't feel like God even cares to hear this again and again. So what do I do if they feel scripted? That's how I would have asked this question. And what I think we're saying to the 10-year-old version of me and to our listeners and stuff is, okay, in that moment, we could have diagnosed in my 10-year-old little heart, a posture is off. A posture is misaligned. 10-year-old Joseph thinks that God is in requirement of my prayers.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
That God is not satisfied in me unless I pray.
Okay. All right.
Right? Or that I'm not a good and faithful Christian unless I hit this nightly rhythm.
I see.
It was behavioralistic.
Then it becomes a burden instead of a freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's how I would personally diagnose my posture was off. That's, I think, our key word for this episode, posture. My posture was off when, in the time of my life when I felt like my prayers were scripted. My posture was off.
Okay.
And so maybe to our audience, to our question asker today, maybe our posture is off. And then that goes back to what you have said of treating God, yes, the listener as the listener to our prayers, not necessarily as someone who is just waiting around saying, who's going to pray to me today? but as a friend, as you've mentioned a couple times.
Well, I think that's the essence of the relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's possible to recognize the role of, think of another human friend that you have. It's possible to recognize that their role is to be honored, and therefore they are to be honored. It's possible that the other person does not have a role to be honored, but is actually delinquent or demeaning or dispirited or depraved, and all of that. The conversation between the two is essentially the same, I think. Yes, it is. It's essentially the same, and it's just for the regard of who the person is. I can chat with Jesus as my friend and still recognize who he is as the creator of the universe. And my next breath is not available to me without him.
That's right.
I have to have him for everything.
Yeah.
And my role is to be his ambassador and let me represent you correctly, please. I can't do that without you.
Yeah.
Those theological and biblical awarenesses are there, even though they may not be conscious at the moment. I'm just chatting with him. He is my friend. People have asked me, do you follow Jesus? Not so much. I walk with him. And walking with him, I mean, you can argue, a person can argue the phraseology, but yes, I try to follow his will, but I walk with him in relationship. I walk with him and enjoy his love because he's just right there walking with me. Which is an awesome concept. If you think the creator of the universe is walking somewhere with me, but that's the case.
And that changes the way that we pray.
It does. I do think that the people who pray scripted prayers over and over, and they're realizing it, and is this really what I want to be doing? Is this really efficacious? Are people who don't know there's an alternative. They think you have to fold your hands in a certain way. You have to bow your head. You have to close your eyes. There are people, Christians, who think you have to face east when you are praying, because east is where being oriented means facing the light. And so there are people who have been taught that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they have not been taught that I can just have a casual conversation with him.
That's right.
A lot of my quiet prayer happens right before I go to sleep. I can turn over onto the pillow and think, okay, now we get to be together. Let me just pray. And then I fall asleep praying.
Sure.
Is that insulting to him? Absolutely not. It's not. He knows my heart, and he knows that, it's not insulting. Falling asleep in the arms of the Father is a wonderful thing for the Father, too.
I am laughing because that idea of falling asleep praying was a thing specifically. I remember as a child thinking, I can't do that. It's like leaving someone on the phone, just like waiting. You know what I mean? And I remember thinking that would be inappropriate. It's just funny.
But it isn't.
No, it's fine.
It isn't. If you are a parent, think of your child when the child is very young, lying next to you, and you're talking to the child, and the child falls asleep. Are you insulted? Of course not.
I'm ecstatic because they're finally asleep.
They're finally asleep.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Do you think God thinks that? No.
I don't know if I told you this. We listen. Joseph and I listen to the podcast after they're released, after they drop, because we have a critical mind and we want to make them better, and we criticize.
We have notes for ourselves.
I had a day when I was so busy I had no time to listen to the podcast. I just put it on when I was in the bed, and I'm going to listen to this now. And I fell asleep listening to myself. And I thought, my goodness, am I a sleep aid to everybody out there? I don't know. But,
that's amazing.
Back to the question. I think I don't have a lot more that I can say except give yourself freedom.
Yes.
to not be scripted. You don't have to please God with your articulation. You do not have to please God
That's right.
with the vastness of, well, my prayers are too petitions. I'm asking too much for myself, and I'm not saying wonderful things about him to him. And don't get bound up in that kind of a yoke where you can't be free and you can just talk.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. I've loved this conversation. Let's wrap it up there as a result before it gets bad. No. Let's go to the second
I can tell
segment.
you, we can wrap it up. But there was one time I was sitting with a friend in a church situation. I'm the pastor. We were sitting in a couple of chairs talking, and he was talking to me about problems and issues and so forth. And I just began to pray without closing my eyes. And I began to pray, and we were talking, and he recognized that as a prayer. And it was going on. Another person walked up and said, "Excuse me for interrupting. What are you guys doing? What are you talking about?" And I said, "We were praying." And he said, "Well, your eyes weren't shut." And I said, "Yeah, I know. I most of the time pray with my eyes open." And I don't know why that came to mind right then. That's Go ahead, wrap it up, Joseph.
Yeah. Let's jump to our second segment of the show.
Okay.
The second segment every week is a question that Jim does not know ahead of time, and it's always something a little quirky, personal, off the wall, whatever.
You got that right.
Today's question for you, what is something that you have accomplished in life that at one point earlier in your life you thought would never happen, never be possible?
Oh my goodness, almost everything.
And then talk like, if you want to maybe pick one, you don't have to pick one, but talk to me about the process of like trying it out or building confidence or like realizing that you were going to do it or something like that. What's like a story?
Well, the big thing is I became a pastor, and I think I don't want to play with word games here. I think a pastor doesn't become a pastor. I think God makes pastors to be pastors, and then sometimes if we're halfway awake, we realize it and we go whatever path is necessary to get there. I never wanted to be a pastor. I got sick of church. I got tired of having to go. I've been going to church since I was an embryo, and it hasn't changed. Maybe even a zygote. I grew up in the church, and I was required to go. And then I went, and I was still required to go when I was in junior high and high school, but I was happy to go then because I had a lot of, becoming a pastor or a minister or a priest or part of the clergy was the farthest from my mind. I didn't want it. And yet I began to teach the Bible because I had learned things about the Bible that I had never learned before. And I thought, if I haven't learned it with all these years being in the church, all these pew sitters who have been in this church forever, they probably don't know either. And I'm going to educate everybody. And so I began to teach the Bible. As that event, long-lasting event, unfolded, I was invited into the ministry. And a pastor came to me and he said, "Would you like to be ordained?" And I said, being of sound mind, I said no. And I had no desire to be ordained. And he said, "Well,
too bad.
An elder,
come with me."
The heart of an elder is an elder.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good enough. You have the heart." And I still said no. I went into the ordained ministry with both heels dug in. I did not want to do this. It was not just I never had any idea. I was opposed to it. And that was decades ago. And now I have been in that role and that state of being for a long, long time now, decades. That's one thing. Standing up in front of secondary education students, junior high and high school, there is no way I would ever want to do that. Teach adults, yes, I have taught adults for a long, long time. But to go into a school and be the school teacher, no, I had no desire to do that. And now I have been doing that. This is my 14th year of doing that.
That's amazing.
So, and I love it.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I said no to emotionally or just my own desires, I have done and learned. Oh, I didn't learn to like it. I just did.
Yeah.
I just did like it. So those two things come to mind.
Yeah.
There are other things that I didn't want to be, and I therefore did not become.
Sure.
I didn't pursue them.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be an actuary.
Sure.
For an insurance company. That was not my childhood dream.
Wasn't on your list.
I know that wasn't on there, and I managed to avoid that.
There you go.
Yeah. What about you?
That's great. The first instinct to this question, which was something you didn't think was possible that you ended up doing. I thought about, it's funny, you went in sort of, you're taking like the opposite approach than what I intuited.
Oh, sorry.
No, which is great because you explained things that you kind of, in some sense, got dragged into.
Yes.
You know, you didn't want to be a minister. You didn't necessarily want to be a teacher.
Right.
Yet here you are. I was thinking about it from the perspective of like, what is something that you like wish for, but that feels out of reach?
I didn't hear it that way.
That you ended up persevering and making happen. For me personally, I can think of, this is only a couple years ago. In 2021, wow, that year was nuts. All in the calendar year of 2021, I finished a master's program, started a master's program, got engaged, got married, and moved twice, among other things that just happened during a normal year.
Yeah.
Oh, and I moved jobs. I came to CVCS.
Oh, okay.
So holy cow, like all of life got flipped upside down. And it was in the fall. We had just gotten married. We're still moving in. I'm adjusting to a new job at CVCS, and I'm in my first trimester of classes in my second master's program, and I was just empty. I thought literally I have to choose something in life, obviously not my new marriage or anything like that, but some commitment. I was serving at church at the time. I was doing other things.
And stay with it and focus.
No, and
is that what you're saying?
I was convinced at that time I had to drop a thing.
Oh, I see.
I had to drop out of this second master's program and join it up next year. Or I had to, pull out of this ministry at church or whatever. And the thing that I kept coming back to as like the first target was that master's program of I can't do this right now. And I ended up just doing the classic take it a day at a time, take it a week at a time. Mm-hmm. And I actually just did it and ended up doing rather well with it. But that was the first thing to come to mind in terms of just sheer perseverance.
Well, there are times I, too, have had so many activities going on and been invited to so many activities and roles that I had to quit something. I was working too hard. And we may do an upcoming episode on working too hard. I'm not sure.
We may,
yeah. Anyway, I had to drop something, and every activity I was involved in, I enjoyed it and I loved it, and I didn't want to drop it. Mm-hmm. I was working full time in a church as a pastor. I was working as an instructor of American Sign Language in another place. I was involved in, and I was married, mm-hmm. and I had kids, mm-hmm. And so something has to go here. Oh, and then I was invited to teach in another position. Yeah. I can't do that. I mean, they're just I can't do that.
You're empty.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And temporarily I couldn't do it. I didn't have any time to do all of that. I had to pick one mm-hmm. and let it go, and I did that.
Yeah.
But what else? What's the choice? There's no choice if you accept another invitation. There are people who will just work themselves to death, literally to death. And I knew better than to do that, although there was no evidence that I knew better in my life at the time.
Wow.
So there's, I think, the answer
wonderful.
to that.
That's great, yeah. I'm sure there's, I'm trying to think of situations in the other direction of Were there things that I was dragging my heels in? Nothing off the top of my head. Doesn't matter. It's okay.
Okay.
Let's wrap this thing up, though. I think
Okay.
we're out of time. We want to thank, as always, our audience for listening.
Indeed.
Thank you for tuning in, either just for this episode or maybe every week. We want to give a shout out to an email address that we have set up, which is brewingwithjim@gmail.com. We check that all the time, and if you want to submit a new question or just tell us about your story or where you're listening from, that's brewingwithjim@gmail.com.
We'd like to know.
Thank you all so much for listening, and until next week, take care.
Take care, everybody.
The topics that are covered and the answers that are offered during episodes of Brewing with Jim are designed to mine the wisdom attained from a life of pastoral ministry and care. They do not constitute professional or clinical training or expertise in the areas of counseling or mental health. CVCS and its podcast network want to provide a platform for the discipleship of our community. Brewing with Jim is our attempt to foster that environment in a format that is accessible for everyone to participate in. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during the show are the speaker's own, and they may or may not represent the views, thoughts, or opinions of Capistrano Valley Christian Schools or its faculty. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK-12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening and stay tuned for more.